Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what it really takes, and maybe more importantly, what it really costs to bring AI to life in a business. From that first spark of an idea all the way to seeing a real impact on your bottom line. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's just dive right in. We see AI pretty much everywhere these days, and it is getting so sophisticated. Think about it. You've got luxury cars that can hold a totally natural conversation with you. You can ask, hey, where's the best coffee around here? And it just tells you. It's like having a real person as your co-pilot. And then you've got customer service. We've all dealt with chatbots, but now, for some major banks, these things are resolving a huge majority of questions. We're talking 70% without a human ever getting involved. That is instant satisfaction for the customer, right? And for the business, well, that's a massive efficiency boost, letting their human agents focus on the really tough problems. And, of course, there's entertainment. You know those recommendations that just seem to know what you want to watch next on Netflix? Well, that's not magic. It's an AI algorithm that's so ridiculously good at its job, it saves the company over $1 billion. $1 billion every single year. Okay, so all of that sounds amazing, right? But it brings up the big question, probably the reason you're watching. How does a business actually do this? How do you go from seeing these awesome results to building them yourself? And yeah, what's the real price tag? All right, let's get into it. First up, decoding that AI price tag. It's time for a little reality check. So check this out. When you look at where the money actually goes, it's pretty revealing. You can think of the AI model as the brain of the whole operation, right? It's the part that does the learning and the thinking. And look at that chart. The single biggest cost, up to 35% of the entire budget, is just how complex that brain is. The smarter you want it to be, the more it's going to cost. And when we say cost, we mean it can be, well, staggering. To give you some perspective, when Meta trained one of its Llama 2 models, the bill just for the hardware, just the raw computing power, was around $4 million. That's before you've paid a single person. Wild. And speaking of paying people, you can't build this stuff without the absolute brightest minds. It's true what they say. Behind every great AI, there's a dream team of people. And putting that team together, well, that has its own hefty price tag. Just take a look at these numbers. This really shows you what we're talking about. In the US, a top AI research scientist can pull in up to $220,000 a year. The machine learning engineer, the one who actually builds and implements the models, that's up to $200,000. This isn't a one-time cost. It's a major ongoing investment in talent. Okay, so with those big numbers in mind, how do you actually build a plan? Let's talk about your AI blueprint and the key choices you'll have to make. It's not about spending the most money, it's about spending it smart. So, the first big choice you've got is, where is all this AI stuff going to live? Do you build it on-premise, on your own servers? That means a big chunk of cash up front for all the hardware, but it could save you money down the road. Or do you go with the cloud? That gives you a ton of flexibility, but you're paying for it as you go, and those costs can really add up. It's that classic trade-off. Next up, you've got to decide just how big you want to go. I love this analogy. Think of it like building a vehicle. A basic solution? That's like adding a new GPS to the car you already have. An advanced project, maybe for fraud detection? Now you're building a custom off-roader. And a fully custom job, like for medical diagnosis, you are basically designing a Formula One car from the ground up. And as you can imagine, each one has a totally different price tag. And one last thing on this, you don't always need the biggest, most powerful engine. For a lot of specific tasks, these smaller, more efficient, and frankly more secure models, SLMs, are becoming a really smart, cost-effective choice. It's like, why use a giant Swiss Army knife when what you really need is a scalpel? They're easier to handle, you can tune them for exactly what you need, and they're a smaller target for security risks. So, okay, after all that investment, after making all those tough choices, is it even worth it? Well, the data from companies that have actually done this is pretty clear. The answer is a huge yes. Let's look at the payoff. Okay, let's circle back to Netflix for a second. Get this. A staggering 80% of what people watch on there comes directly from its AI recommendations. 80%. That is an absolutely insane level of engagement. And what's the reward for keeping people that engaged? Well, like we said before, the company figures it saves over $1 billion a year. $1 billion. Mostly just by keeping people happy and subscribed. Now that is what you call a return on investment. But listen, you don't have to be a giant like Netflix to get a huge return. Check out this roofing company, Roofle. They used AI to create a system that spits out accurate quotes in just 40 seconds. 40 seconds. That speed helped them close 40% of their demos and boosted their overall conversions by 12%. That is real-world growth for a totally traditional business. So this really proves the potential is there, no matter how big or small your business is. So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm in, how do you actually start? How do you do it the smart way without taking on a ton of risk? Let's map it out. Really, the biggest takeaway is this: don't try to boil the ocean. The smart way to do this is to start small. Do a little pilot project, a proof of concept, and set super clear, measurable goals, like we want to cut our customer service response time by 20%. You can also leverage amazing open source tools like TensorFlow or PyTorch that are totally free to use. And maybe most importantly, don't go it alone. Partner with experts who have been down this road before. It'll save you so much time and headache. So that really leaves us with one final question for you to think about. After everything we've talked about today, from smart cars to roofing quotes, what's the first small experiment your business could run with AI? What's that simple, low-cost test that might just unlock your next big thing?